Welcome to those of you joining us from the Montana at Washington game where the score was 13-7. Montana getting the upset and things getting started here is Max Borghi. The all-everything back for the Cougars, bursting up the left side. For the Cougars at quarterback, the transfer from Tennessee, Jared Garantano. Very impressive over in the SEC, brings a lot of experience to the position. Won the battle over Jaden DeLora in camp. Nick Rolovich waiting until the last minute to name a starter, but you see the numbers very impressive, especially against some of those SEC defenses.
That started 32 of those 41 games in the Southeastern Conference. A young man from New Jersey, now out on the West Coast.
2nd and 1 for the Cougars, and here is Harris. He'll lunge forward for the first down. Looking at some of the difference makers here on offense for the Cougars. This run and shoot offense that's going to utilize a lot of weapons. How about the impressive freshman, Dejon Stribling? Won the job in camp, really impressed the coaches beyond his years and experience. And then you already talked about Harris, everything he can do.
These fans, particularly these students, erupted here a few minutes ago when that Washington Huskies score was announced. A bunch of them watching on their phones.
Garantano hands it off, met in the backfield as the Aggies get a big stop there. And this Utah State defense, as we mentioned, trying to turn things around. Justin Rice, he comes over from Arkansas State, named to the Benerick watch list. But how about Shaq Bond at the safety position?
He's going to be tested. You know, these safeties in these 3 and 4 wide receiver offenses, really on both teams, how well they can play man-to-man coverage, lining up and covering slot receivers.
Patrick Joyner Jr., defensive end for the Aggies, getting that last stop, stuffing Borghi. Garantano flushed out of the pocket, eyes downfield, running for the first down, and an easy pickup for Garantano. And once again, the decision-making to hang on to the ball when you need to.
When Garantano really is what college football is now. You know, the transfer portal comes over from Tennessee. You see right here, Utah State loses contain. He's not really a runner, but he certainly took advantage right there of just the lack of contain. But you think about this journey, you know, and Jared Garantano said it was a business decision. You know, grew up in New Jersey. His dad played at Rutgers. He goes to Tennessee. And like so many of these quarterbacks now, they go where the opportunity lends itself, and he ends up here in Pullman.
1st and 10 on their own 47. Garantano back to pass. A little bit too far outside as Shaw Smith-Wade.
And you know, for some people, Jordan, maybe a bit of an upset that Garantano is the starting quarterback. You know, Jaden DeLora, a freshman, started last year for them, a true freshman out of Hawaii that had a lot of notoriety, a 4-star recruit, actually had signed under Mike Leach. So I just think the trust factor, the experience factor is why Nick Rolovich went with Jared Garantano.
2nd and 10 for Washington State. Borghi in the backfield. Garantano, the shovel pass. Borghi can't hang on to it, though. They'll bring up 3rd down for the Cougars.
And you see what Max Borghi is. Christian McCaffrey kind of guy, right? Can run, can catch. He's got to be excited, because I think if there's one big difference between the Mike Leach air raid and what Nick Rolovich does in the run and shoot, he will run the football. And I think with this big offensive line tonight, you know, right now it's 3rd and 10 and obviously passing down, but I think they will run that football. That right tackle, number 72 right there, Abraham Lucas, is a giant.
4 starters returning on that Washington State offensive line. Lots of size, lots of experience. Trying to help move the chains here. Borghi, delayed handoff. And the Aggies force the Cougars off the field, and great penetration by the Aggie defense.
And if you're Ephraim Banda right now, the 1st-year defensive coordinator that came over from Miami, first time he's called the defenses. What a great way to get off the field on 3rd down. They went a little bit conservative right there, Nick Rolovich, and forced Washington State into punting the football.
That was Dominic Tatum, the safety, coming downhill. Laying Borghi in the backfield. So first time punting for the Cougars. This is Nick Haberer, all the way over from Sunshine Coast, Australia. First ever college football game, and Looks like he calmed the nerves for that punt.
You know, first ever football game. He had never seen a football game until last spring. I think he went to an Idaho game over in Moscow.
7 plays, 17 yards, and a punt. Aggies will take over when we come back. Pac-12 kickoff week is presented by Taco Bell. And brought to you by Old Trapper, what's your beef? And by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. First and 10 on their own 14 for the Aggies. Calvin Tyler Jr. taking it up the right side, picking up some yardage. And the first thing you notice, Bob, here, just how wide those receiver splits are for Utah State.
And how fast they're going to go. They are a true tempo team.
Slung outside. Catch made by Devin Tompkins. And we talked to offensive coordinator Anthony Tucker calling his first game ever from the booth. Tompkins is who they want to get in one-on-one situations.
Notice how they put those 3 receivers into the boundary. When they go as fast as they go, a lot of times they end up putting the receivers into the boundary close to their bench.
3rd and 8, Bonner. A little miscommunication, incomplete, and a very quick 3 and out.
Derek Langford right there almost had a pick 6. He's going to look back on that one and wish he had that opportunity again. 2 big, long corners for Washington State. Impressed with both of them. You take a look at Logan Bonner right there on the sideline. The transfer from Arkansas State. Again, another transfer portal quarterback. This guy can really throw it.
Back to punt for the Aggies. Another Aussie, Stephen Kotzenle. In fact, knows Nick Haberer. They both went to the same Pro Kick Australia Academy to prep them for their time overseas here in America, punting for their institutions. And Kotzenle gets a good leg underneath it. Fair caught by the Cougars, who will take over.
One thing you see right off the bat, when you are a fast tempo offense, your defense is out on that field again in a hurry if you're Utah State.
You talk about fast tempo, just 44 seconds, 3 plays, 2 yards leading to the punt for the Aggies. So it looked like a promising drive after their very first down quickly fizzles out. This was an Aggie offense. Total scoring last year, 125th out of 127 teams, averaging just 15.5 points per game. So Anderson tasked with trying to turn that around. Cougars on their own 42. Here's Garantano. Deion McIntosh in the backfield. Catch made outside. Short little pickup.
One thing when you play man-to-man coverage, which Utah State is going to play a lot tonight, there's not those easy access throws on those bubble screens. Great job by Tatum right there, the safety. We talked about safeties having to play man-to-man coverage. Good opportunity right there for Dominic Tatum. Coaches love him. Really think he's a talented young guy.
You saw right there, Garantano can put up some big numbers. One of just 3 players in the history of Tennessee Volunteer football to throw for 400+ yards. It'll be more of a balanced attack here as opposed to the air raid in previous seasons. And on the outside, it's Harris making the catch and thrown out of bounds.
Again, Tatum, the safety in the open field. That's a scary matchup right there because this guy right here, Travell Harris, he is the most explosive player on Washington State's team. That's where fatigue as the game goes on. You know, those DBs up there playing man-to-man, chasing those wide receivers. Fatigue's such a big part, particularly in these early season football games.
Harris, the Cougars' leading returning receiver, in a position where they don't have a ton of experience, but they're excited about who they have. And Borghi again met in the backfield, so the penetration that the Aggies are able to get. Hale Motuapuaka getting through the line, and this was one of those things we talked about coming into the game. That experience.
You see the pressure. You see the pressure off the open inside, the 2 offensive lineman side. Justice Rice, a great story, right? All conference at Fresno State, leaves, goes to Arkansas State. He's all Sun Belt Conference. Now he follows Blake Anderson to Utah State.
Haberer back to punt again, the freshman. Another drive ending quickly for the Cougars. The Aggies will take over once again. So both offenses trying to find their footing in the early going opening game of this season for both the Cougars and the Aggies. .39 yards on the Haberer punt. And Andrew Peasley now in at quarterback. Aggies are rotating quarterbacks every series, and this is the junior from LeGrand, Oregon. Coaching staff loved his work ethic in the offseason.
I really love what Blake Anderson's doing. I think just for the overall chemistry of your team, giving Andrew Peasley his opportunity to win this job.
Peasley outside. Tompkins with another catch. Gain of about 5. Peasley, the coaching staff said, was the first one in the weight room, was winning every single conditioning drill, and became much more of a vocal leader as he hands it off to Calvin Tyler Jr., who picks up a few, and it'll bring up 3rd down for the Aggies. Aggies 3 and out in their last series. See those wide splits of the receivers. Peasley will keep it himself. Finds an opening. Peasley out in the open field now. Finally brought down by the linebacker, Jahad Woods, but a 1st down for the Aggies as they pick up some yardage.
That's what Peasley does, and I think it's a great call right there, the quarterback draw on 3rd down. Again, they're one high, man-free coverage. When you break that line of scrimmage, it's open field.
Peasley, the pump fake, and McGriff can't haul it in, a little high on the toss, but McGriff unable to snare it.
And I think if you look at this wide angle shot from on top, you see the splits of these wide receivers. I mean, they literally do split from sideline to sideline and spread you out. And it's a one-on-one game. I mean, there's no help out there for those DBs at all.
2nd and 10. Peasley will keep it again. Spins, shakes the defender. Finally met down, but another 1st down as Khalid Jabril picks up the tackle.
Yeah, again, same situation, right? 6-man box. The quarterback breaks the line of scrimmage, and there's the eraser. Jabril, the free safety, makes that tackle in the open field.
Here's Tyler Jr. Met by a convoy. Pickup of about 2, but on a day like today, where we just saw a game where Montana goes into Seattle, knocks off Washington, a top 25 ranked team, the Aggies have been sitting in their hotel room all day long, seeing some of these upsets, seeing some of these close games. That's got to give them even more confidence. Peasley launches it down the sideline, and that is brought in for the touchdown. Devin Tompkins getting behind the defense. And the Aggies strike first. Officials going to have a conversation about this, though. So we have a Washington State Cougar down on the ground. That is Daniel Isom.
Again, we talk about these safeties. Daniel Isom, a safety on Utah State's most explosive receiver, gets behind him. Great throw right there by Peasley. It's a one-on-one game, and people don't like alternating quarterbacks every series. But how about that change of pace right there? You know, several quarterback runs and then a home run to Tompkins.
45 yards on the completion. They rule Tompkins down at the 1 as you see the Washington State training staff tending to Daniel Isom, who's already fought through a lot of adversity. He was voted team captain during this training camp. Now helped to his feet, and you mentioned it, Bob, the change of pace, and Peasley in this quarterback competition with Bonner already getting the chains moving and just showing a tremendous amount of confidence in playmaking ability.
Just back to the chemistry of your team, because there is an issue, right? When a new guy comes in that hasn't even been there, sometimes these guys haven't even gone through spring ball, show up in the summer, and then you have other players who were there that get beaten out for the position. So I really like the fact that Blake Anderson has kept this competition open, given both guys an opportunity. Again, so many times the underthrown ball where the defensive back loses sight of it. And a great job of Tompkins coming back to that football in the open field.
Tompkins, the senior out of Fort Myers, Florida, Had 20 catches for 214 yards and a touchdown last season. Ruled down at the 1, 45 yards in the completion, but you see Isom being helped back to the locker room, and that is a tough blow for the Cougars. He is one of the leaders of this Washington State defense. So now the Cougars got to try and get a stop here on the 1.
That's a killer right there. False start from the 1-yard line.
False start. Number 78 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
It's on the right tackle, Jacob South, the junior out of Anacortes, Washington. You imagine he's got some family here watching him play.
Been a while since crowd noise, right? You can pipe all that music and all that stuff into the stadium. There's nothing like it, particularly this student body. I'm very impressed with how they've turned out tonight.
First and goal on the 6 for the Aggies, trying to break open a 0-0 game midway through the first. And another flag, and possibly another false start.
False start. Number 51 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Now it's blood in the water, right? I mean, this crowd now is on fire. Obviously, the center twice was a little late snapping that ball. You wonder if they're going to go on silent count and everybody just moves when the center snaps the ball, because I think it's really difficult to hear any kind of cadence in there.
Backs the ball up to the 11. Now first and goal from there. Flag was on Quazell Wright from Tacoma, Washington, the junior. Peasley tries to dart one across. Tompkins can't get it. Well defended by George Hicks III, graduate player from San Bernardino.
The slant, good throw, good opportunity. First time Jake Dickert, the defensive coordinator of Washington State, went to a too-high look. Looks like he's in it again down in here. So I might think quarterback run right here. I look for Utah State to run this football.
Second and goal. Peasley has been terrific in his first series. Hands it off. Tyler Jr. escorted out of bounds. That'll bring up third and goal as the Cougars, their defensive game plan is just to force kicks. They don't mind giving up yardage. They just want to make sure that they're not letting teams punch it into the end zone. A Cougar defense that last year was lit up for 38.5 points per game. Third and goal, empty backfield for the Aggies. And another flag, the third one on this series against the Aggies. They were at first and goal from the 1. This will back them up even further.
College football's back, right? Home field advantage.
False start. Number 51 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
That's disappointing for Blake Anderson. 3 false starts from the 1-yard line.
And the second one on the right guard, Quazell Wright.
Looks like they're still going on cadence. I do think they're going to have to go to silent count.
Well, all 3 of those penalties have been against the right side, White and South, and you saw right there both of them moving at the same time. But now it's third and goal from the 16. Here is Tyler Jr. Picks up some yardage, but the Cougars doing what they need to do, and despite facing first and goal at their 1, the Aggies will be forced to kick a field goal here. At first game of the year, Bob, it's always about some of the things that you can control. It's discipline, it's penalties, it's just the simple aspects of this game that when you're moving at game speed change.
Take nothing for granted. Things that you never dreamed could happen. Like 3 false starts from first and goal on the 1-yard line. But just see if they can get some points on the board right here.
Connor Coles, redshirt senior from Bozeman, Montana, straight down the middle for the game's first score. So the Aggies lead 3-0 as Peasley orchestrates a fine drive for Utah State. Utah State up 3-0 over Washington State, 4:40 left here in the first quarter. And for head coach Nick Rolovich, always a lot of storylines coming into every season, but this one revolves around the vaccination status for him. And They came out with a statement. Nick Rolovich has elected not to receive the COVID-19 vaccine for reasons which remain private, but Rolovich said he would comply with the state of Washington's mandate that requires workers at schools, colleges, and universities to either receive a COVID-19 vaccination or receive an exemption for medical or religious reasons by October 18th. Both Athletic Director Pat Chun and President Kurt Scholes have stated that they will continue to do all they can to protect the health and safety of those in their charge. And Bob, just over the last year and a half, there are so many things that coaches now have to be responsible for, as Harris will take a knee for the touchback. But everything that coaches now have to be mindful of, have to be attentive to, on top of game planning and getting their players ready week after week.
One thing, let's not forget, they are compensated very well to make those decisions. But you're right, and those decisions, number one, affect a lot of people. When you have a job like a head football coach at a Power 5 conference, and those decisions are public. So everything you do is going to be scrutinized for sure. But they are well paid, and that's part of the job and part of the responsibility to make those proper decisions.
Cougars trying to get their offense rolling here. Garantano escapes out of the pocket, slides down for a gain of 8.
Down on the field, you know, Garantano is all of 6'4", more nimble than I thought he would be. You know, Jaden DeLaura, who he beat out, is really quick-footed, but ample enough. I mean, good enough legs right here, good enough mobility that he was able to escape that.
2nd and 4 for the Cougars on their own 31. McIntosh in the backfield. Garantano flips it. Calvin Jackson Jr. streaking down the sideline, knocked out of bounds, and another first down for the Cougars.
Yeah, 2 really talented slots. I think a penalty, this one might come back.
But a nice one-handed snag, back shoulder for Jackson Jr. Officials discussing the flag on the field. You see the offensive line for the Cougars pointing towards the Utah State direction. Aggies already had 3 penalties on their previous drive, 3 false starts once they got down to 1st and goal at the 1.
There is no foul on the play. First down for Washington State.
So first down for the Cougars, 19 yards on the gain for Calvin Jackson Jr. And Bob, this is a tough catch right here.
It really is, and Utah State in a zone fire right there gave up one of those underneath zones, and you know, Calvin Jackson took advantage of it with that left-handed catch. He moved the slot this year, was an outside receiver last year, and they think the kid is a heck of a football player, very intelligent.
That's a trading card catch for Calvin Jackson Jr., his first reception of the game. Garantano back to pass, trying to escape out of the pocket. Garantano trying to pick up more until he is met from behind. A.J. Vongpachan, the talented inside linebacker for Utah State, junior out of Pasco, Washington. The first Aggie to make contact.
It doesn't matter what scheme of offense. The biggest decision a head coach makes every year is who is going to be that quarterback, right? Who is going to be the quarterback? Again, Jared Garantano creating some plays on this drive. I mean, there was nothing X and O schematically going on, just him creating plays.
And as Rolovich said earlier, they didn't need Superman back there. They needed somebody that could be consistent because there's so many more weapons on this offense surrounding Garantano. 2nd and 3 for the Cougars. Garantano to Harris. Harris eludes the tackle, and Vongpachan on the stop once again, but another first down for Washington State as they get some momentum on this drive.
And that's going to be there. You know, you play man-to-man coverage. If you don't get up and press these wide receivers, you can see right there just a little under route. Kind of a clear by the inside receiver. Travell Harris works like he's going to the flat, then sticks a foot in the ground and comes back under. 2 really talented slots with Calvin Jackson and Travell Harris.
Garantano already with 25 yards rushing. Max Borghi just 1 yard. And it continues to be Deion McIntosh in the backfield. Garantano outside, nearly caught. Intended receiver was Calvin Jackson Jr. Can't snare it in.
Just back to making that decision on who your quarterback's going to be. And then you talk about different issues. You worry about the other guy leaving and entering the transfer portal. You know, Jaden DeLauro, a young guy who has a chance to be a star from Hawaii. But Garantano shows, I think, early in this game why he is the guy. More mobile than I thought he would be, Jordan.
That's great ball placement by Garantano. Jackson Jr. just can't haul it in. Now 2nd and 10. 2 minutes left here in this opening quarter. Garantano across the middle of the field. This time caught by Jackson Jr., who's able to get some retribution from that previous play.
And you see the matchup, right? Cash Gilliam, number 5, on Calvin Jackson. I mean, it is a can we cover him or can't we cover him kind of game.
Jackson Jr. has really good long speed the coaching staff talks about. Played outside last year, moved into the slot this year, and already looking very comfortable. The shovel pass inside, McIntosh wrapped up.
That's a staple in the run and shoot right there. When you're getting a lot of man-to-man coverage, that little underneath shovel pass, and whoever is covering that back all of a sudden has a big old offensive lineman up in his face.
So the Cougars responding to the Aggie scoring drive with their best drive of the game so far. As Garantano continues to look comfortable. No Max Borghi on this drive, though. We haven't seen much of him yet. Second and 5 for Washington State. McIntosh, the handoff. Gets right back to the line of scrimmage.
The decision always comes against a blitzing kind of pressure defense like Utah State. Do we try to block them with all those run plays, or do we just say, look, let's spread them out and just take advantage of some of this one-high coverage and throw the ball?
Nick Henninger getting the stop for the Aggies, the senior out of South Jordan, Utah. One of the culture and glue guys at the defensive front for Utah State. 7 seconds left in the quarter. We'll see if Washington State will want to run a play here or just get some extra rest. They'll snap it. 3rd and 5. Garantano batted down. So the Aggies forcing the Cougars now to potentially kick, and that'll do it for the first quarter of action. So Utah State taking a 3-0 lead here in Pullman on the road, a day in which we've seen a lot of underdogs compete very well on the road. Washington State trying to kick the field goal when we come back.